What's going on, guys? It is Joe, and welcome back to a brand new YouTube video. Welcome back to a brand new installment of The Breakfast Club. For those of you that don't know what The Breakfast Club is, it's basically a series on my channel that I do in between my full days of eating. I go over questions left in the comments down below or DM to me on Instagram at Joseph_Garcia17. Make sure you follow me there. I do a little bit of a mini Q&A, and I actually do that while eating breakfast. You can be eating breakfast as well. Every video goes live at 8 a.m., so make sure you set your reminders. The last Breakfast Club video that I made, I actually ate some chocolate chip protein cookies, and I have another version of chocolate chip protein cookies as well right here. And the reference to these cookies were actually left in the comment section down below of the last Breakfast Club. I also have a no-bake cheesecake recipe that I need to make for an upcoming Breakfast Club video. The subscriber did actually request that, so I will make that and leave that recipe for that in the description down below as well. This is Brian Nom's recipe right here. I did actually make a few tweaks to it, make the calories even a little bit lower. He uses like full fat butter. I actually don't really like full fat butter. I actually like butter light. I actually didn't have any butter light because somebody in my house that will not be named, my dad, actually ate all of my light butter and I was pissed. So instead of using light butter, I went to the third option, which is actually unsweetened applesauce. If you don't like butter, if you don't like light butter, if you're vegan, use applesauce as your butter. Don't even use vegan butter because the butter is just ridiculously high in calories. So basically his recipe made 4 pretty decent size cookies. His makes like 18 like smaller cookies. My cookies are definitely a little bit bigger. And for my altercations that I took out, it was only 412 calories for the whole batch versus his was 590 calories. If you want to use my version to save yourself in calories, use mine. If you want to use his, use his. They're both very, very good. I will say these are probably the best chocolate chip cookies that I have made so far, like on any like protein cookie recipe. Mine are still like very doughy. I should have cooked it a little bit longer, but I like mine a little bit like soft, like almost too soft. So this is what mine looks like right here. I would recommend cooking it for like 10 to 12 minutes. I cooked mine for around like 8 to 10. So No, I should have definitely cooked mine a little bit longer, but these are still so good. I'm gonna have to make these again, man. Out of all the protein cookies I've made, this probably has the most real cookie consistency. The only thing I did not use in my recipe as well, which I don't even think I have, I've never even heard of this ingredient before, is cream of tartar. I don't even know what the that is, to be honest with you. I didn't include that. I don't know how much better it makes the recipe. But yeah, I don't even know what cream of tartar is. Never heard of it. And I knew for a fact I did not have that in the house. If I do, I don't know where that came from. Oh yeah. No, I'm definitely gonna make these ones again. These are bomb. Shout out to Brian Nom. Your protein cookie recipe is absolutely fire. I bet you if I even use like the full butter version of it too, absolutely amazing. I did make a small tweak to it by substituting applesauce in there. I didn't use the cream of tartar, unfortunately. Our protein cookie recipe is the best protein cookie recipe I have ever tried, to be honest with you. Highly recommend it. Okay, so let's get into some questions, shall we? So both of these questions actually come from Instagram DMs. I thought they were both really good questions, so we're going to pair these two together. First one says, hey bro, hope all is well. I just had a quick question. Do you think it's more optimal to space your final meal to wait, say, an hour before going to bed, or just eating and going right to bed? I thought this is a pretty good question because some people actually struggle with like, hey, can I eat before bed? Do I have to eat before bed? Can I eat before bed? When should I stop eating at night? You know, you all heard that myth at some point that it's not good to eat late at night. I thought this is an overall pretty good question. I'm actually going to go ahead and link another video in the description down below. The video is actually Greg Doucette going over Derek Plates for Dates video on eating before bed. So, and basically in a very like Spark Notes version of that video. I actually want to wait just a little bit for the food to digest before actually going to bed. It's actually not like as optimal to go to bed on a very like heavy stomach. Greg Doucette says it best, and that it's like actual way of scheduling eating. Eat a very big breakfast, so you want to eat like a king, eat like a middle class person for lunch, and then eat like a pauper or like a peasant for dinner. You don't want to go to bed on an extremely full stomach. I think you do actually get better rest when you let the food digest a little bit. You're just overall, I think sleep cycle's a little bit better with not having just this big old just like stomach of food just in your belly. It's a little bit of personal preference of like how well you actually sleep with food in your stomach. Personally, what I do based on my experience, I actually eat like a very lighter meal before bed that mainly consists of protein. So I will say if you're going to eat something before bed, prioritize it being more around like a slow digesting protein, such as like steak, cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, casein protein, things of that nature. The protein is actually slowly like digested. You get a streamline of amino acids throughout the entire night. Let's say kind of gauge it based on personal preference as far far as how full you like to feel before going to bed. I would recommend to let the food digest just a little bit before going to bed. Don't go to bed on an extremely full stomach, and mainly prioritize having more protein before bed. But if you want a little bit more in-depth video, I'm going to leave Greg's and Plate for Dates video in the description down below. All right, moving on to the next question. Breakfast Club questions. How to reduce bloating and what to do when your weight plateaus. Keep grinding. Flex emoji. Thanks. How to reduce bloating. There's actually several kind of like suggestions I might have to reduce bloating. I would number one ask the question, what is causing you to bloat? For me personally, I notice that every time I eat peanuts, like every time I eat like peanuts or like nuts, I want to say it's mainly peanuts, I notice I get significantly like more bloated whenever I eat nuts. So I don't know if it's just that food in general or what. One question I would ask yourself when it comes to bloating is, what types of foods do you notice that you eat that cause you to bloat? And if you keep on eating those foods, I would start kind of cutting those foods out a little bit and maybe finding a better substitution that digests a little bit easier with you. Everyone's so different when it comes to like what causes bloating. It could be like a drink, it could be a food, it could be artificial sweetener. Everybody's stomach is so different. So I would say the number one thing to do is like mentally take note when you start bloating, what food causes you to bloat, and make substitutions on that food and see if that helps. I know for me, definitely depending on the types of foods that I eat, I can get a little bit more bloated. In the minute I switch my food up, so there's actually no more bloating. Also, depending on the actual volume of food, whenever I eat more voluminous foods, I have a little bit more of a food baby. I am a little bit more bloated. So that could be another thing as well. Also, like maybe if there's an inconsistency in the amount of sodium coming in, it could cause you to just be bloated or be a little bit more watery. Those are also like very minuscule things that maybe cause bloating. I would say to actually reduce it, maybe like take note and maybe switch up the type of foods that you're eating and see if that works. You kind of have to just do a little bit of trial and error. And two, what might actually help is what I used before I went to actually go step on stage for my show, and that was actually Gas X. One day after my show, I was having like 6,000 to 7,000 calories, 1,400 grams of carbs, and you would think like, hey, I might get kind of bloated eating all that food. So leading up the night before, especially the day of, I was having a Gas X with every meal that I basically ate. So the Gas X definitely helps as far as just reducing bloating. So if you notice that you're getting bloated often and you're constantly switching your foods out and you don't want to have to be doing that, try taking a Gas X and see if that helps as well. What to do when your weight plateaus. So in terms of like weight plateauing, whether it's either trying to gain weight or whether it's trying to lose weight, you need some sort of stimulus to kind of break the plateau. So if you're trying to lose weight, your body's kind of adapted to the amount of calories you are burning versus the calories that you're intaking. You either need to A, eat less calories, or B, do more activity, or C, do a little bit of both. This is the extreme of basically when you break that plateau. If you need to eat less calories, eat less calories. If you need to do more activity, do more activity. If you need to do a little bit of both, do a little bit of both until you actually break your plateau. And two, if you're trying to gain weight and on the leaner side of things, then you basically need to eat more calories. I wouldn't always suggest like moving less when you're trying to gain weight. Movement and burning calories is good. I would never tell someone to exercise less unless you're doing an extreme amount of exercise. And unless you're doing an extreme amount of exercise with the point where it's actually unhealthy and you can't actually put in enough calories to kind of compensate that and you're trying to gain weight, then I would say, hey, let's actually reduce that a little bit to make sure we're staying healthy at the same time. Because exercising too much and doing too much activity without putting enough calories in and being an extreme calorie deficit is actually a thing as well. Especially if you're trying to gain weight. I mean, it goes against everything they're trying to actually do. But that is all the questions for today, guys. Please, if you guys have any more questions, leave them in the comments down below or DM them to me on Instagram at Joseph_Garcia17. I appreciate all the supports on all the videos, so please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button if you are new. We are chasing 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year. I've been the video up here. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you guys are new. It's been your boy Joe. Peace.